Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite dark sorcerer here. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about the apocalyptic worldview, okay, of the JCI, okay? Just give me 1 minute. I'm going to mute my messenger here. Um, got a bunch of people suddenly wanting to message me this morning, but it's okay. Yeah, it's kind of cool. But anyways, plus I'm trying to get used to this new haircut and it's driving me nuts. So, anyways, so there's been a lot of things coming to perspective within this world, not just coming to me personally, because over the last few months I have been in contact with a brother of mine from overseas. And we've been literally talking about the events unfolding in the country that he's in. And it's very interesting to see this in reality. So I thought I would take a moment and kind of do a video with certain dates and times showing you the different eras within the arrogance and violent tendencies of the JCI, the Judeo Christian institutions. I'm talking Jewish, Hebrew, I'm talking mainstream Christianity, and that of the Catholics, not just the Islamics. But I'm also going to show you the legal system here a little bit and kind of show you the perplexities of that volatile coexistence. So I really wanted to show you a wide range of things here. So here it is. Let's start off with the 10th century to the 14th century. After Christianity became a prominent figure in the world, we see the limiters being placed on other religions, the witchcraft trials of this particular era. This is where people were arrested, imprisoned even, okay, and found guilty. This was a time when it was more, well, think of it like the legal system today. Best way to describe it, you had to have evidence to back up your claims that such a person was responsible through witchcraft for what was transpiring in your life. Okay? And if you think about it, this was the first Jewish intervention throughout history. Okay? And this is why. The milk goes stale. The animals go barren. There are certain signs of witchcraft being performed within the little communities. Okay? This is what they noted. When we jump ahead to, say, 1604 through 1939, okay? 16th century through the 19th century, the early 19th century, we see how the witchcraft laws now become about torture. We see it more about pure dominance, not just political posturing. Okay? Sliding close to the king and queen, the royal family, getting them to be on the church's side. Okay? Ridding themselves of their enemies, the infidels. Okay? More so, around this time, these two times, we've also seen the Knights of Templars, the Crusades, the Holy Wars, and the Renaissance. Okay? These three things you can do your own research on, okay? And it will show you the Catholic perspectives of the Parliament Acts, okay? The Parliament Acts are English, for those of you who do not know. And basically, the Crusades, the Knights of Templar were considered to be a private army of the bishop, okay? The private army of the Vatican. And these individuals literally were the protectors of the crossroads. They were also the personal army that went over into the Middle East and fought for the Grail, a cup. Stupid wars, you know, just the way it is. But as time progressed up until the 16th century, now you see the political aspects of it. Everybody's trying to find favor with the church to remain in their good graces. This is where everything started going into alchemy, the alchemical changes. This is where everything began going downhill between the Eastern and the Western philosophies. It was no longer about Catholicism. It was no longer Islamic traditions, even though they've been at war and a civil unrest for the better part of 1,000 years. Here we see where accusations weren't enough. You needed proof. So they humiliated women. They put people on racks to be tortured and their bones torn from each other, from the joints. We see them being drowned through tests and trials, hung until dead, burned at the stakes. This is all JCI propaganda. Okay. 1930s. I want to say it's around 1937 to 1939. The Witchcraft Act was disbanded. And this was actually from the Prime Minister telling the United States basically, knock it the fuck off. Why? Because one seer got the US government with their britches down. Okay? Literally, just caught them with their britches down because they had not revealed that a particular ship had gone down at sea. Okay? So this Witchcraft Act, which literally has been associated with the blue law, the Constitution of the United States, the Parliament Acts of Great Britain and European countries have been separated and divided into two categories. One, the United States Constitution is in place to protect your religious perspectives. And it's identified in three ways: followers, a foundation, and doctrine. Okay? So if you have these three things, you are considered by the United States government to be a protected religion. Whereas in Parliament, it has more legal actions. It is more about defamation of character. Okay, if you are charged with witchcraft and you are, say for an example, go underneath the fraudulent acts ranging from the 15th century forward, you'll notice that if somebody, say for example, commits a defamation of character accusation against you, that person can be found guilty underneath the fraudulent acts. Okay. Therefore, they can spend a year in prison automatically and up to, depending on how many counts, anywhere between $2,000 to $6,000 fine. Okay. And that's just plain automatic. All right. So it is good to know your legal rights in this factor. But here it is. Okay. Over the last 100 years, we've seen the religious perspectives change. Anton Zandaleve shaved his head and claimed himself to be a Satanist. Oh no, Christians rose up against that. Okay, can't have that. Nope, can't have that. Go forward a little bit. You have the satanic panic in the late 80s, early 90s. Bam. Any crime taking place, a Satanist did it. A new attempt at a witchcraft trial. The witchcraft propagandas. Okay? You've had two terrorist attacks within 30 years. 30 years. Right here on American soil. First one was in New York. Second one, 2001. Last one was 2001. Last one. Okay? The world literally has been in the Middle East during this time. Britain, Russia, United States. Probably a few more that I didn't even mention. Okay? But let's take it forward just a little bit here. During this time, we've seen old factions fall. Seen them fall. Okay? We've seen terrorist groups, be annihilated. Another more dangerous one supposedly rise in their place from their ashes like the phoenix. But no new witchcraft act has been considered or put into play. No religious foundation put in play. But here we are around 2016. 2016. The Bible Belt is still in play. Anyone not a Christian or a Catholic is an outcast. You get the more hostile brunt from the medical services. Okay? You get branded a heretic and you are no longer accepted within the social normalities, the social norms. Okay? And as it was so colorfully put to me when I lived in the ass end of the Bible Belt about 10 years ago, we see where you're not going to get very far if you're not a part of the good old boys group. False accusations, people disappear, people get put in prisons for stupid ass fucking things just because they were accused of being a practitioner of the arts. Okay? This was about 10 years ago. So, 2016, 2017, reports start coming in. Government officials between LA, San Francisco, all the way over into Dallas, you know, Texas, all the way up into Missouri. Islamic heads are meeting with Catholic bishops and cardinals in the government's offices. Secret meetings that most of the world don't even know about. And then all of a sudden, guess what? Islamic student, those who practice Islam, it has free reign throughout the school day to go into a private room to do their religious worships. JCI is allowed to do this. Wiccans, pagans, Satanists, necromancers, devil worshippers are not. So now you're seeing that limiting factor all over again. Okay? But then you look at a few other statues here. China being limited on what they can purchase on the market, allowed to only have one child per family. Korea wanting all outsiders to just get the fuck out. But wait, 3 weeks, the United States conquered Iraq. In 3 weeks, we don't want to fuck with you, says Korea. We're done. No more hostility from us. Okay? But now, Trump came into play. Trump became president. Everybody was for it. It was going to be a nice little change, but all of a sudden, the political upheaval. Trying to get that international scam going. Got to have that new war. And everybody that's involved are diehard Catholics, diehard Christians within the Senate. I mean, don't you find it interesting that within the political world, within corporations, they're all run by Christians who control the employment status, your financial future. Think about that for just a moment. Okay? I want you to earnestly think about that. And now, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what's going on over in England, in Scotland. If you haven't been paying attention, this is a new thing, okay, a new development, but not really. It's the same old story. And I'm probably going to butcher this name, but it's called Brexit, Brexit, okay? And this is basically the British exit from the European world, okay? Think of it more of a brotherhood, so to speak, in cahoots with these other nations. Things were going good for the last 47 years. 47 years. 47 years. Businesses are booming. Profit is coming to play. The Russian scandal between Russia and Trump, their influence in the United States political aspects, okay, of all this. Now we're seeing this. Businesses are closing worldwide. I just found out yesterday that a very long time hair salon, one of my favorites, by the way, went out of business, closed permanently. Okay? And you can see how horrible this haircut is because the person that did it really sucked. I wasn't paying attention, and my better half ended up having her cut it a little too short. It's like, no, I'm not a big fan of short hair. So, Baptist, Baptist. Another. Okay. But here it is. So now we've got this new thing going on, and it's the British exit was was basically the withdrawal of the United Kingdom from the European Union, January 2020, GMT. The UK is the first and so far only country to have left the EU after 47 years of having been a member state. Notice what I said, member state. Now, what did I say was going on back in 2016, 2017 with the Islamic states? That's what they were going for, Islamic State, another JCI field. They're going back and forth, people. Okay? Of the EU and its predecessor of European communities. That's the EC, not the EU. Two different things. Since the 1st of January 1973, under the terms of the Brexit withdrawal agreement, Northern Ireland continues to participate in the European single market, meaning one market, one coin, one value. Now, think about the apocalypse, for an example, from the JCI book of Revelation. Now, what was it the world was going to be coveted in a single type of coin? The euro? Think about that for just a moment. Okay? And you're going to see where I'm going with this in just a few minutes. In relation to goods, and to be a de facto member of the EU customs union. The European Union and its institutions have developed gradually. What did I just say a few minutes ago? Businesses were booming. Everything was going good until they decided, we're going to pull the fuck out. And guess what? Everything's going downhill. You're not playing ball. You're not going to go very far. Okay? Developed gradually since their establishment, including 47 years of British membership, and grew to be a significant importance to the UK, meaning one of their prime benefactors. No wonder British, parliaments are going down fucking hill fast. Okay, they decided we're going to pull out. Well, guess what? You've been cut off. You're basically being strangled to death. Do I have to remind you that Korea is a third world country? A second to third world country, basically, they've had to go into the black market to purchase what they need. Have, I, have you seen what China's been doing? Think about that for just a minute. And this is all under the guise of Christianity, the JCI, the Judeo Christian institutions. Okay? Throughout that time, Eurosceptic groups have existed or had existed, opposing aspects of the Union and its predecessors. Prime Minister Harold Wilson, pro EC government, held a referendum on continued EC membership in 1975, in which voters chose to stay with the bloc, with 67.2% of the vote share. Okay, and it goes on and on and on, all the way up to let's see. And I found this very interesting right here. The process was both politically challenging and deeply divisive within the UK, with one deal rejected by the UK Parliament. General elections held in 2017, the same time in the same era as the Islamic states were literally meeting in secret meetings with cardinals, bishops, and government personnel here in the United States. Are you not seeing the links here? Okay, but let's carry on. In 2019, and two new prime ministers in that time, both conservative. Under Boris Johnson's majority government, the UK left the EU on the 31st January 2020. Trade deal negotiations continued to within days of the scheduled end of the transition period on December 31st, 2020. The UK government postponed the implementation of import controls for goods entering the UK from the EU until the 1st of January 2022 in order to avoid supply issues during the COVID-19 pandemic. Custom controls only applied to British goods entering the EU during this period. The effects of Brexit will be in part be determined by the EU UK Trade and Cooperation Agreement, which was signed on the 30th of December 2020. Okay. Now, a brother and I, who, like I said, is currently working over there, he's getting ready to pull out. Okay. In about a month or two. We we were talking about this, and I kind of brought up this other stuff. You know, I brought up this other stuff and how it relates to Christianity and the so-called apocalyptic criteria. Okay, and I'm gonna move real fast because I gotta to plug in my laptop here. I was an idiot last night and left it unplugged. So, anyways, there we go. So, anyways, as I was saying, when you look at all this evidence being backed up with actual facts, you're seeing a history of ignorance. Every time the world starts pulling away from that apocalyptic sense, all of a sudden you have events like the AIDS virus, polio, Spanish influenza, the Black Plague, and now COVID 19. Okay, which limits the world's movements. Okay, so you add all this stuff up, what does it get you? Well, let's look at it. Christians worldwide are pushing their agenda. They get to be on radio stations, they get to be on news outlets, they get to be interviewed worldwide. No other religion is, unless they make such a huge splash that it grabs the world's attention. Okay? Now, the assumption is when you look at the legal system, the legal laws, you can actually see how little by little these laws are being implemented, which are literally ridding the world of all other religious tools, other religious forms, practices. And they're setting it up to where there's going to be one major fucking conflict. And like I said, Trump was the one guy who basically said, fuck you, my way or the highway. You are the weakest link, get the fuck out. But he was never impeached because they never found any evidence. No fucking evidence. And yet, even to this day, they're still investigating him over this link with Russia. Okay? It's like, have you not been paying attention? It's already been proven fallacy. It's been proven a lie. You cannot try the guy to impeach him. He's not even in office. Okay? And now we have Biden. Biden. Now, there's an idiot for you. And I'm going to be quite blunt with this, just to let you know. I see Biden as a fucking idiot. He's a child. I didn't even vote for the fucker. Obvious reasons why. Every time a stimulus check was put into plan by Trump, the Democrats, the Republicans blocked it. And Biden was and still is a Republican. Okay? But 2 weeks within office, guess what? 3 of them were passed. Well, technically two, but still, two were passed. back to back. And now a third one is in place for corporations for that withdrawal to get people back into the world. As of, what is it, 8, 9 days? Within 8 and 9 days, the unemployment status is going bye bye, basically forcing you to get off your ass and get back to work. Okay? Meaning, now you've learned your lesson, go back to work. We're no longer going to support your ass. Okay? But guess what? Then here's the mistake. Here's another mistake by him. We're just going to pull out of Afghanistan. No plan, no nothing. Hell, we haven't even trained the government to protect itself and its people. Not like we did with other countries that we occupied. No, we're just going to get up and go, fuck you, you're on your own. And within 12 hours, guess what? It's now occupied by a new terrorist group that's been around for the better part of about 5, 10 years now. Okay. After the fall of bin Laden's little reign. And before that, Hussein's. Okay. So you see where all of this is adding up. Now, it's kind of interesting that when we look at it from a political, religious standard, Christians have always wanted their Armageddon. Their Armageddon. So I want you to look at something from the Bible. Okay. Do not worship any idols. This is of their 10 Commandments. But yet they worship a dead man on a cross. Hmm, that's a violation of their standards. No religion can have animal or human sacrifices. Cruelty to animals, murder, this type of stuff. Well, let's see. Abraham tries to murder his own son because his God told him to. Hmm. How about the burnt offerings in the book of Leviticus, also known as the book of the law? Hmm. How about the Hebrew rite of Yip Kippur, which has an animal literally gutted, the entrails left on the pulpit for the hot sun to cook it. They're burning the carcass, and the blood sits in a bottle in the main tabernacle. The other one goes down over a extremely rocky terrain with people standing certain intervals down that cliff to report back how far that animal actually got. Talk about cruelty to animals. And what about stoning people to death because they went against the mainstream Pharisees? Paul, for an example, was known to have been stoned stoned twice. He was shipwrecked once and abandoned on an island. How about Jonah and the whale? Hmm. What about King David, who sent his soldier off to work so he could covet his neighbor's wife? Do these 10 Commandments not ring any bells? Huh. One God only. But wait, we're going to deny all other gods. Huh. Genesis chapter 3 shows that if you eat of the apple or the fruit of that tree, you will become as a god, knowing the difference between good and evil. Why else would you be denied that right? Why would you be denied that right? 4,000 years, no hell. All of a sudden, New Testament comes out. We have a hell. We have a devil, the Hebrew adversary. And ironically, takes just in the Bible alone, you see three transformations: accuser, which is Hebrew; adversary, Jewish; and opposer, Islamic. Basically, anyone who goes against the established norms is a devil worshiper. You work for Satan. They will dub you evil, an antichrist, a devil, a heretic, because you stand in their way of what they want. Now, you notice how everything is in the Middle East right now. Every one of the United States allies surrounds surrounds Israel, where the new kingdom, the new city of Jerusalem, is supposed to appear after Armageddon, after the fall of Satan and his demons. Hmm, interesting. But time and time again, we have seen the world wanting to get away from this, wanting to change, but it is the church that holds it in play every fucking time. They want their Armageddon so goddamn bad, they're willing to make shit up. It's there. And now you have countries sitting there going, if you're not of our land, get the fuck out. Did we not just see this with Mexico? The immigrants coming in through the border illegally? Do we not see this between the in England going on right now? Do we not see this within the Middle East? Huh. Constant chaos, constant warfare. Islam seems to view themselves as being right over mainstream Catholicism or mainstream Christianity. Baptists think they're better than the apostolics. The apostolics thinks themselves better than the Jehovah Witnesses. And it just goes on and on and on. But wait, it's also dwindled down into the reverse Christian aspect. Atheistic Satanists, Christian witches, Christian Satanists. Are you seeing the propaganda here? Are you seeing the conflict of interest? It's there. This is just the latest bullshit. And people wonder why I want nothing to do with it. Why I'm not getting involved. People keep coming to me. What do you think about this? What's going on? What do you think about that? Have you heard about this? Have you not learned from history? There's an old expression, an old proverb. You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make them drink. And a man who does not learn from history is doomed to repeat it. Christians want the war. You're not going to change their minds. They're brainwashed from birth. But wait, if you take a newborn and you go to give them a baptism of satanic rite, guess what? That becomes child endangerment. It becomes human sacrificing. Yeah. Funny how that works out, right? DHS or the Department of Human Services is called upon you because you're not a Christian. Nobody wants to learn. Nobody wants to evolve. Nobody wants to grow. That's your own stupidity. It's your own stupidity right there. And this is worldwide. You take, for an example, cannibalism. Cannibalism is legal in the United States, but yet defamation of corpses is illegal. If you go into a graveyard and you dig up a corpse, that's a $2,000 misdemeanor. Okay? You go into Malawi or Ethiopia and you have body parts in a bag for rituals because these religious practices require them. You're now being charged with murder. You're being charged with religious hate crimes, discrimination, corpse violent, corpse defamation. But yet cannibalism is legal. Cannibalism has been used from African traditions to the Amazons. It's been used in tribal cultures for hundreds of thousands of years. Skulls were always associated with witchcraft practices, things that actually worked, right up until the JCI came into play. This is when the wars really started. You really want to learn this? Go back to the polytheistic era. Go back to the monotheistic eras, the Renaissance, the Holy Wars, the Crusades, and you're going to be seeing a whole different slew of things. But you must be willing to learn with an open mind. Be observant of your surroundings and look at the world. Just because I'm not a part of the world does not mean I'm not observant. I do pay attention. Do your homework, ladies and gentlemen, before you get dragged into this against your will. But I do agree with my brother. Sooner or later, by the time people realize what's going on, it's going to be too late. It's just going to be too late because that apocalypse has already started. That proverbial bell has already been struck 2,500 years ago. It's just more violently established today. But guess what? There has not been a terrorist attack on US soil in 20 years. 20 years. There's not been a terror attack on US soil for 2 decades. It's been 20 years since 9/11. 8 years before that, Oklahoma, the DC sniper attack. Going as far back as the 80s, Manson and his family. Summer of Sam, Boston Strangler, the Zodiac. All these never really made the papers, the world commitments. But yet, the view of the apocalypse has been the forethought of the entire world. It's all being guided to that one conflict. You have a chance right now. Rise up and tell them to piss the fuck off. Look at your government officials and say, enough's enough. We're the people. We have the power to kick you out of office, to evict you from office. But you do have to be careful in that regard because you may end up like Haiti, for an example. Two instances throughout history. After the slave rose up in one of the times, one of the individuals became the new president, the new emperor of Haiti. But he slowly became a dictator and was killed by his own people. And then what happened just about a month or so ago? The last president of Haiti was assassinated. And now they're interviewing and looking at the bodyguard. It's a fishing expedition. A fishing expedition. Have you not seen the videos where Christians literally are there in Haiti and they're telling people to stay away from voodoo? Voodoo has been one of those practices that has been condemned by the church time and time again. You go down into Mexico, the church warns about any dealings with witchcraft. Hell, even the Bible itself, there's at least 20 scriptures from Old Testament to New Testament that warns you not to get involved with seers, necromancers, conjurers, witches. But yet, this is what I find amusing. They keep changing the Bible. 16th century, the Vulgate Bible says, "Thou shalt not allow a murderer to suffer." The very next Bible that came out, it changed. "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." And yet, today, you have Christian witches, Christian Satanists. Do you see what's going on here? Do you see how this is playing out? Hmm. If not, here's my glasses. You may want to put them on. Have a good day.